This this is the Impressions Exchange Podcast.
Impressions Exchange Podcast,
where all topics impacting the graphic imaging and printing industry are addressed via in-depth news coverage, analysis, and timely interviews.
Hi everybody, I'm Toni McQuilken, Senior Editor with Printing United Alliance, and I am here with Ray Weiss, Vice President of E-Learning and Certifications at the Alliance. Ray, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Toni. How are you?
Doing pretty good. But you just came back from all accounts, an amazing trip over to Asia to promote G7 and the iLearning Plus platform and be involved. So tell us all about it.
So started off in Bangkok, Thailand. Now, of course, my flight was delayed. I shouldn't say of course, but my flight was delayed. I was supposed to kick it off on the first day of the program. Our partner in Southeast Asia, Hejiang, was running a G7 Plus exchange. She had come to the G7 Plus exchange in Orlando and just caught the vision. And so we supported her as best we could. She actually got Ron Ellis to come to the first two sessions, and Andy Bullock came to all three because we did 3 G7 Plus exchanges. But
that's a lot, especially in a short period of time. I mean, I was at the
yes,
one in Orlando, and that's a lot, even for just one event.
It is. And I was supposed to kick it off on the first day, but of course, I didn't arrive until about a little after 4 in the afternoon. They were running it a full day. And so it was so funny because the host, not the host that brought me over there, but the host of the event, it was at a university in Thailand. So when she greets me, she gives me a little glass of tea and gives me a snack and tells me, just sit down here for a minute. So I took 2 sips and she goes, okay, we've got to go now. We got to go because we have to be out of here at 5. And so
wow,
I had to run in, and fortunately, because my flight was delayed, I did not have my luggage when I laid over in Korea. So I was wearing the same clothes. I did take a shower, thank goodness, but I couldn't shave because I didn't have any of my shaving gear. So I was a little scruffy, but I did have an iLearning shirt. I don't know if you can see it, but so I threw that on.
That was the important part.
I wanted to at least be on brand in some manner. So yeah, it was really a great event in Bangkok. We had over 52 people in the audience at the university. Literally, because I went on last, I hit on the Printing United Alliance, explained who we are, how we've evolved, how Idea Alliance is part of Printing United Alliance, because in Southeast Asia, Idea Alliance has a much bigger name recognition than Printing United Alliance does. And so I helped make that connection. Mm-hmm. And then I talked a little bit about what's different in G7 and G7 Plus, highlighting some of the differences because they'd already heard from Ron Ellis. They'd already heard from somebody doing a case study. So they'd already heard a little bit about it. So I just highlighted some of the differences, some of the advantages of the new G7 Plus methodology. And then I talked about iLearning Plus. I wrapped up with that. And when I said that students and educators can take any course for free, there were probably 4 or 5 professors in the audience. They stood up and started clapping, and everybody was so happy and excited. So it was a great way to end that first really long day. But it was well received. They had printers, suppliers, not many students at that event. They had a few faculty there. Mm-hmm. And so literally I was supposed to be in Thailand 2 nights. I was only there 1 night. So the next morning we headed out to Hanoi, Vietnam. And so we did an event in Hanoi with the Hanoi Printing Association. So no students, all printers. In fact, really only printers. I don't think there were any suppliers there. And so we kind of did the same presentation again. Ron thought it was good to have me go at the end. Andy wasn't so keen on going so early, but he went early and kicked it off. And we just did it again for this group. Got a really good reception, and they had probably 72 or so in the room. It was really packed.
Wow.
And very well received. You know, the one challenge, the one thing I had to learn, Toni, I don't do this well, which is to speak in short sentences. But when you're working with a translator, you have to speak a little short sentence and stop and let them translate it. And even though my slides were translated into Vietnamese, into Thai, they weren't into Vietnamese. So I had a Vietnamese translator I worked with. She's one of our trainers, Miss Tien Ho. She's one of our G7 Plus expert trainers in Vietnam. So she was there as our translator. In Thailand, we had a guy named Joe. That's not his real name. From Color Doctor. Please don't ask me to say his real name. I'd have to get his card out, and I'd still get it wrong, I'm sure. But really super nice guy, very knowledgeable. He translated for me in Thailand. Miss Ho or Tien went with us to Hanoi, and then our next stop was Ho Chi Minh City.
Wow!
And so we spent 2 days in Hanoi. Because now it's Sunday when we arrived in Ho Chi Minh City, we had a day for sightseeing. And our host was really great about trying to get us, particularly for us, like myself, who had not been up in that way. I'd been in Korea, but it was a long time ago when I was in the service. So she wanted to make sure we at least got a feel for the places we were. So we did a little bit of sightseeing in Thailand, very little, a little bit in Hanoi, but we had a full day in Ho Chi Minh City. And we met one of the professors at Ho Chi Minh City University that was our host for the event. Really nice gentleman, very nice professor. And we had over 152 in the room there. It was
that
crazy.
Was just growing. Like for each event, you're getting more and more people.
Yes. And we had students, printers, and suppliers were there in that room. A lot of the students were really excited. Probably about 20 students. Some of them were part of the graphic arts program. They were taking pictures, and that's why we got a lot of the photographs that we were shared with later. And a lot of them were from the printing program. They run a full printing program in both Thailand and in Ho Chi Minh City University. So it was great reception. We actually had a dinner reception after the event in Ho Chi Minh City, and got to meet some of the people, not a lot of people, but more of the instructors and some of the students did speak English. So we were able to have conversations, and then we had our translator to help us with those that didn't. And really just super exciting to see these events just catch on fire in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
And I wrapped my trip up in Tokyo, Japan.
Okay.
I interviewed with Yukiko Suzuki, supposed to call her Suzuki-san. And so she interviewed me for her Label Forum magazine that she does, which looks like a newspaper. It's in newspaper format. And we probably talked for an hour just about what are we doing in the area, what was I there to support. I explained a little bit about the Alliance and then the G7 Plus program. And she invited me to speak at their Label Forum in October.
Okay.
So I'll be going back to speak at the Label Forum, and then wrapped up the day. I mean, we did some sightseeing, not a lot because we had a busy day, but I got to visit the Japan Printing Academy, which is an academy that does just printing. That's all they do is print training. And they, took us all around the space so we could see the press that they have and a lot of the cutting equipment. They had a small wide format printer. So they do a little bit of everything, and they have students that are in there all during the week just training on printing. And they're also one of the sites that our partner uses for G7 Plus training. One of the gentlemen who's a principal in the academy is a G7 Plus trainer. And I was happy to secure agreements, nothing formal, but they're working on translating our color management professional fundamentals. Okay. So we're translated into Japanese, Korean, Thai, Vietnamese. And they're also going to translate Print 101 because some students don't speak English that well. Some days I don't speak English that well. I'm a firm believer that you learn best in your own language.
Right.
And so, across the world, a lot of people do speak English, but when you're trying to learn a concept that's a little complicated, it's easier to learn it in your language.
Especially for G7, it's such a technical,
Yes.
Specification and the coursework. I speak English and I just barely passed the certification course. So
you did great, Toni. You did
I was
great.
going to say, so I feel for people who are trying to do this in a language who is not
Yes.
their primary.
Yes. Well, and they only do the G7 Plus training in person with a instructor that speaks the language. So they've translated the G7 Plus slides into their particular languages, and they deliver the content for that one in their language. But as I was talking to our host, I said, what we need to do is get the precursor course, which is CMP fundamentals,
Right.
get that translated so they could go and do that online. And by the way, if they're really a new person, they could go take Print 101 first, get an understanding of what they're into, then go take the CMP fundamentals. Then they're going to be better prepared to show up for an in-person G7 Plus training event.
Achieve color consistency, efficiency, and precision with G7 Plus certification, the industry's gold standard for color management. Whether you're in packaging, commercial print, or digital production, G7 Plus ensures neutral gray balance and visual consistency across all applications, helping you reduce waste and improve quality. And getting certified has never been easier. Choose from live in-person training for hands-on experience, live online training for real-time learning from anywhere, or on-demand training for flexible, self-paced education. No matter your schedule, there's a G7 Plus certification option for you. Printing United Alliance members save 20% on all courses and certifications. Stay ahead of the curve, view training options, and get certified at printing.org/G7 Plus. G7 Plus is here, the next evolution in print calibration and color management. Built on the trusted G7 methodology, G7 Plus delivers even greater gray balance accuracy, improved tonality, and optimized color control across all printing technologies. This advanced standard helps reduce waste, improve consistency, and ensure seamless print reproduction. And getting certified has never been easier. Choose from live in-person training, live online training, or on-demand courses to fit your schedule. Printing United Alliance members save 20% on all courses and certifications. Stay ahead of the curve, get G7 Plus certified at printing.org/G7 Plus.
So did it differ at all? I mean, other than language, obviously, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
But in the exchange themselves and in terms of format or how it flowed or the information, was it pretty much the exact same event that we had here in Orlando, or was it kind of different?
It was not the exact same event, though they did have, so Ron Ellis delivered the exact same presentation he did in Orlando, which was the 10 things to watch out for when you're doing a G7 or G7 Plus qualification, the things that'll trip you up. And then Andy Bullock, he delivered his exact same presentation, which is all about the creative, the pre-press part. How do I prep my files so that they're going to print well when I go to my G7 or G7 Plus printer? My presentation was sort of a combination of, I pulled some, with Don Hutchinson's permission, from his presentation about the differences in G7 and G7 Plus. I reached out to our membership department and they gave me a few slides to highlight membership. And then I have slides for iLearning Plus. And so I used some of those. And again, I kind of edited them down to catch what I really wanted to convey, not try to give the entire presentation. But so that part was similar. And they did a case study. And I think in Thailand, they did a case study and they had a vendor do a presentation, a demo. I think X-Rite in Southeast Asia did a demo of one of their products and talked a little bit about how it could be used to do your certification or to do your qualification. So in that way, it was the same. The other two, because we had Ron in Hanoi, So we had his presentation, Andy's, and mine, and they only did a shorter version. Like Thailand was a full day.
Okay.
Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City were both like 4 hours, which was close to what we did in Orlando. And by the time we got to Ho Chi Minh City, we'd lost Ron. So it was just myself and Andy. And they had they had their vendors come up and do just a quick talk about their products. They had like 4 or 5 vendor sponsors in Ho Chi Minh City. They had one in Thailand. The Hanoi Printing Association, for whatever reason, did not have any vendors there. Again, we were trying to do it in partnership with what they wanted.
Right.
And so that was, that's why we had to alter it some, but it was very similar. And we have put together we call it a G7 exchange in a box. So it's, a series of files that show here's a suggested agenda. Here's how you can kind of manage it, just sharing some of the graphics. And she ran with that. You can't quite see it behind me, but over here, I got this plaque from Ho Chi Minh City. I try not to bring it too close because they used the wrong logo. You can kind of see it here. I got this print from them, this big printout.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It shows all of their sponsors and our logos on there. Printing United Alliance is there. But
very cool.
They used the wrong logo. So when I sent a picture of the plaque to James and Joe, I said, now look, don't complain to me about the logo. I had nothing to do with this. They just gave it to me. And so, you have to roll with the punches there, right? I mean, our host kept apologizing, our international partner. She's like, I'm really sorry. I said, listen, they did all the printing and you sent them what they needed. They chose not to use it. I said, look, we're here. We're talking about it. That's what matters.
Exactly. So what's your biggest takeaway from, having done these events now, especially as you start thinking about the exchange for next year, or for this year, I guess it is, this fall in Las Vegas?
Yeah, and I've already shared this with Joe, and I'll share it on Friday. He wants me to talk a little bit about what we did. And we kind of flipped around a little bit. So like at our exchange, we talked first about who we are, Printing United Alliance and G7 Plus and all this other stuff. Whereas we flipped it on its head, where I did it at the end. And with Andy going first, so he's talking about pre-press. How do I prepare my files? Then Ron talks about the process, this new printing process. And a lot of them know about it over there, but not everybody does.
Right.
Because we actually do have quite a number. There were is it Hanoi? Yeah, it was Hanoi. There was Ho Chi Minh City. There was at least 3 G7 Plus experts in the audience.
Wow.
Because I came away with their cards. They said, we'd like to be more involved. I'm like, okay, let's figure this out. Let's crawl, walk, run. But yes, thank you. And I told our host from Southeast Asia, He Zhang, I said, you should think about a second instructor, because if you're going to start growing classes, and this reception that we've received tells me that there's a hunger for this program, let's figure that out. But I'd suggest having a second instructor, so that if something happens and if Chen's not available, you have a backup. So I came away, Toni, with the hunger that they have for this program. I mean, I was just really taken aback.
Which is great. It's a great energy. And, that it just goes to show just how powerful, the iLearning platform is, and G7 Plus, that, these aren't just a small little niche thing that, 10 people know about. It is a global standard and a global platform that everybody can benefit from.
Yes. Agreed. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and for chatting about your experiences, because I am super jealous. It sounds like it was an amazing time.
Well, thank you. And thank you for taking the time to chat about it.
Thank you.